Okay, welcome back, everybody. I think you've probably all finished the 30-minute SEO course now, so we are in maintenance mode officially. So you're probably wondering what's next. And what's next is this. We're going to go over these key points in detail in this video. We're going to start off with practice what you've learned, kind of a little overview, what's important and what needs to be done as you move forward. Then we're going to go and we're going to talk a little bit about finding creative ways to automate some of these processes. Then we're going to venture into finding sources for the things that you don't like to do. We're going to talk about outsourcing and a little bit of that sort of thing. And then we're going to talk about the need to bond with a mentor for the future. And followed up by making money and living happily ever after. So, with that said, let's get started on the first piece, which is practice what you've learned. Now, the stuff that we did in the very beginning, like finding the domain name and the keywords and all that sort of stuff, that stuff's really kind of one-time things. So, you may want to revisit some of those things in the future, but for the ongoing basis, really those things are kind of behind us, and we can move forward with basically the part where we start creating good content. And again, when I talk about content, I'm not just talking about the pages on your website. I'm talking about articles, videos, blog posts, anything that you make that you can put out on the internet that's your message, your content, and get that out there so people know that you've got a really rich resource on your subject matter over on your website, and get them over there. That's really a key factor. I know we talked about content used to be king. Well, content still kind of is king, although linking, as far as SEO, linking has kind of taken over the king spot. But without content, you don't have anything to link to or link from. So content really is still the underlying keys to the kingdom, even though linking has become much more important as far as ranking a site. You still need something to get ranked. So content really still is kind of king, so we need to treat it that way. And good content is going to set you apart. If you think about it, all the little niches out there, everybody creating garbage just to rank their site, if you show up on the scenes and you actually create really good stuff, and you're populating the internet with really good content that all leads back to you and puts you as the authoritative figure for that subject, imagine how much you're going to shine. You're going to stand out from the rest. And in the sales world, they call that a USP, and that's a unique selling proposition. And that really is the thing that closes deals. So, really, I can't stress the importance of really good content enough. Whether you write it or you have somebody write it, it needs to get written or created rather, and then put out there in the world. So that moves us to the next thing, which is using that content for link bait. And link bait has, a few different terms and meanings out there in the whole SEO world, but when I say link bait, I'm basically just saying, putting your content out there as bait for people to link to go back to your site. Because ultimately that's what we want. We want them on your site. We want them off of those other sites and onto your site. Now, one of the best ways that I know to do this and to get that content all over is through syndication. And let's just call the content or your link bait your message. We want to get your message out everywhere, and the best way to do that I know of is to syndicate it. Now, there's a few different ways to do this. You can use RSS, which stands for Real Simple Syndication. We covered this in a couple of the lessons. That's a really excellent way to spread your seed out there on the internet. The other way is actually using tools. And one tool might be like a video syndication tool, and there's several of them out there on the market. And those tools, you take your video, you upload your optimized video, you put the tags, the titles, all the stuff that we've talked about as far as optimizing a video, you plug that in once, and then you let the tool syndicate your video for you. And depending upon the tool that you go with, they could send it out to 10 video sites or 100 video sites, and all in the same time that it takes you to do it once. That tool will leverage your effort and put it out there and just, skyrocket your efforts with a single click, so to speak. And then once you've got all this accomplished, then you want to continue to get as many good incoming links as possible. Now, with the syndications, another thing you want to syndicate too is your articles. And there's a lot of different softwares and services out there that will take and syndicate your articles, your press releases, your podcasts, any kind of content that you make can be syndicated out there, either with RSS or with some sort of an automated tool. And I would strongly suggest that you look that way to leverage your time, if nothing else. But back to these links, this is really going to be your main job, is to continue to get as many good incoming links as possible in the future. And this is a non-stop job. So this doesn't just stop. You don't just get the links the first time around and then you stop. This is kind of a thing where you need month after month after month, you need to keep these new incoming links coming. Or if you don't, what's going to happen is your site's going to look like it's no longer popular. And your curve of popularity is going to fall off, and so will your rankings. Your rankings will follow directly. So your monthly maintenance really is important. And it's not a matter of you have to do this every day like we were setting this up, 30 minutes a day. You might do this 30 minutes a week now at this point. But whatever you do, however you decide you want to do it, I've shown you all the different ways in 30-minute SEO. If you like to focus on articles, that's fine. If you like to focus on videos, that's fine. If you like to focus on, link building and blog posting and that sort of thing, that's fine as well. If you are partial to everything, that's cool too. The more the better. But one thing you want to keep in mind is just to keep it going and keep active. As soon as your activity drops off, search engines are going to see that. They're going to think the site's no longer popular and not newsworthy. And another site that is more active and is more popular is going to come and it's going to take your place. So don't let that happen. Anyway, let's continue on. And we'll talk about some creative ways to automate. And I know we just kind of covered this a little bit, but tools and services will become very important to you as this process goes on. And the thing with tools and services, I've seen this happen a lot, is somebody will get a hold of a tool or a service and they'll only use that one thing and they'll just use it over and over and over. And that's the only thing they do. And this can be, in some cases, this can be not good. So what I want to do is I never want to rely on a single tool or a single service. I want to get as many as I can, and I don't want to overuse them. And it's kind of like if you're creating cloud cover to kind of hide underneath, your cloud's not very big if you only have one tool. So you don't have very much coverage to hide behind. And the whole idea behind SEO really is to be undetected. They talk about white hat and gray hat and black hat, but what you want to be is you want to be the invisible man. If you're the invisible man, it really doesn't matter what color your hat is. And that's what I'm talking about here. If you use a lot of different tools and sources to create these incoming links, no one's going to be able to track it and nobody's going to be able to figure out that there's one single person behind it. It's coming from so many different variations and so many different sources that it's just flat impossible to put your finger on who's doing it, who's behind it. So it looks natural at that point. And that's really what you want to aspire to by using these tools and services. You want to leverage the power of the tools and the services to increase your efforts, but you want to remain anonymous. You want this to really look natural, like this is just happening because your site is just so damn good. So if you can accomplish that, you will be well on your way to, a really prosperous future in SEO or whatever you do with your online businesses. And I've been very, very successful at doing just that for well over a decade, probably closer to 15 years now. I've been doing this stuff, and I've never once had any of my client sites banned. I have had a couple of sites banned that were my own that I pushed to the limits just to find out where the limits were. But it was done intentionally. I've never had one that I didn't want banned to get banned. And the way I've done this is always by doing it so anonymously that there's no way really for anybody to create an algorithm to get rid of me, because what I want is I want the algorithm that gets rid of me gets rid of the whole world. And they just can't do that. So that's where I want to be. I want to remain in that space where I look so natural, there's no way to target me. And if they can't target me, they can't single me out. There's no one over there at these search engines to just say, hey, this guy right here is no good. They have to have a way to come up with a formula to eliminate me automatically, or you automatically, or anybody automatically. And if they can't do that, then you're pretty much untouchable. And that's where I've remained for all these years. So that's why it's really important that when you're using tools and services to leverage your efforts, make sure that you do it in a very, very natural way. Now, this kind of follows into the whole finding people or sources to get the things done that you don't like to do. And you can do this a few different ways. One is outsource, and I'm a big fan of outsourcing. I'm also a big fan of the tools as well, but I'm an even bigger fan of taking a tool, coming up with a method of using it, and then outsourcing that method. And when I go outsource, I usually go out country. And what I mean by that is, using people from other countries to actually do the work for a couple of reasons. I really didn't want to do this to begin with. I thought I could rely on people here, and it just really didn't work out for me. In this country, so many people are out of work and they want to work. They say they want to work, but then you go and you try and put them to work, and guess what? They don't want to work. And, I tried this with friends that needed work. I tried this with relatives, and believe me, you just want to really outsource this. You want to have no ties to the people that are doing it. If they do a good job, reward them accordingly. They'll stay loyal to you. If they do a bad job, hey, cut them loose and try a new one. Get on to the next one. It's not that hard to find good people, especially if you go outsource out country. And if you do these things, what's going to be the outcome of the whole thing is you're going to outdo your competition. So that's what I am a big advocate of. So outsource, out country, and outdo your competition. Next, I've got down here, bond with a mentor. And you can do this or you can not do this. The alternative to not doing this is really to become your own mentor. And there's nothing at all wrong with that either. Now, what that's going to take is that's going to take a lot of your time, basically, because you're going to have to go around, you're going to have to fly to seminars, you're going to have to follow people, you're going to have to really buy all the products that come out, test them all yourself. All that kind of stuff is really what it's going to take for you to get to that mentor status. And not only are you going to have to do all that stuff and buy all those things and try all that stuff out, you're going to have to monitor it. You're going to have to figure out, what's working and what's not, and what do I do and what's right for the future. So for a lot of people, that is just not a very doable thing. It's not that it can't be done. It's not in most people's nature to want to do that. So it's really easy to bond with a mentor, and there's a lot of mentors in this industry. So you need to find somebody that is out there and doing this and really getting ahead of the curve and can keep you. You can just ride their coattails. I know as I came along in this, I never really had mentors, so to speak. I was always out there, and I was the one that was going around and figuring out what needed to be done and implementing it for these companies and all this kind of stuff. And now that I've kind of ventured out into the internet marketing world as well, I really don't mind being a mentor and sharing all that information and sharing my knowledge with people. So I'm somebody that you could do this with. There's many others. If you don't particularly like my brand of teaching, there's many other people out there. But it is important that you find somebody that's successful at what you want to do, so you've got somebody to bounce things off of. And you got to make sure that the mentor can actually communicate with you. There's a lot of people that just say, do this and do that, but you don't have any interaction with them. You can't truly ask questions and get your problems solved. You need somebody that's willing to work with you on that level. So anyway, that's a great way to do this. And for most people, it's probably the only way to do this, because you can get off to a great start. But what happens when things change? If you're just sitting there and you're not really following anybody, and you don't know how you got here to begin with, you just learned this from somebody else. When it changes, you may not know what to do next, or you may not even know that it changed. So you need to be able to rely on somebody to tell you when the road ahead is about to curve, so you can start steering into the curve and not hit the wall. So it is really important that you get close or stay close to somebody or different people that have their ear to the pulse of what's going on and how things are changing. And the final frontier, what is this all about if we can't make money? Let's face it, without money, this whole thing is just going to suck. So I know I've said it, many other people have said it, but it really is true. They seem to make more money than an individual. So if you team up with people, and this comes back to the outsourcing too. If you build a team of people, you're going to make a whole lot more money than you would if you just did it yourself. Imagine if you just did all the work yourself, how many projects could you work on? But if you leverage others, you can pretty much just put the puzzle together and let everyone else, plug the pieces in place. So to me, this has really been the key component in my growth, in my income expanding and actually exploding over the last few years, is when I put the team together. When I got the team together, all of a sudden now, more work gets done than ever before. And it doesn't rely on me to do it. More money comes in than ever before. And again, it doesn't rely upon me to do it. So this is really what's created this lifestyle that I just absolutely love at this point in my life. So that brings us to the next point. After we make money, we want to live happily ever after. And this literally can create you can create and live your dream life if you do this right. So that's what this is really all about. That's what I've got out of it. And I've really enjoyed sharing it with you. And again, congratulations on this. Keep on going with this. I know this is just a single follow-up video, but there's really not a lot of reason to make and stretch this stuff out. It's really just this simple. So if you do this on a consistent basis, you should be very successful in SEO for your own projects. You'll be very successful if you decide to do SEO for other companies. So whichever way you go, I wish you the best of luck. And please follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/John Limbacher. I look forward to hearing about your successes. And please send me a note or drop me a line on Facebook and let me know how you're doing with this. I would love to hear it when you hit a home run. That really gets me excited. So go ahead and do that. Get out there. Just kill this thing and then let me know about it. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great one.